David from Philadelphia. As a Bret Hart fan, I've always believed that everything happens for a reason. The rise of the Attitude Era seemed to coincide with the departures of two of the greatest, Bret and Shawn, due to injury and other circumstances. Once Bret left, it felt like he never truly found his character in WCW, and we rarely saw him again in WWE until many years later. My question to you is, if Bret had never left, how would you have booked him in WWE? Would the McMahon-Austin feud still have happened? Would we still have seen the rise of The Rock and the formation of the corporation? How do you think Bret would have fit into the Attitude Era if he stayed? You know, it's funny. I look at Bret in many ways as the father of the Attitude Era. Everybody loves to talk about how, Bret wouldn't have fit in and he didn't like the direction the company was going in. Yeah, that's true. But he is in many ways the father of the Attitude Era, even though we had flashes of it before, even back when, Diesel turned on him after Survivor Series, and that's late 95. And I think had that version of Diesel stuck around, that version of Diesel would have been very successful. But it was when Bret came back at the end of 96, he had an attitude about him that he didn't have before. And he felt, he sounded very bitter and jaded, and everybody was just walking around pissed off. No one more so than Bret, though. And yet it feels like that he wouldn't have fit in during the Attitude Era, but I think he would have done just fine. Because he was one of the people, if not the person, that really helped kick the whole thing off. People talk about CM Punk dropping the pipe bomb in 2011. Bret Hart dropped the first pipe bomb 14 years before that. People forget that. I think he would have put Austin over for the title of WrestleMania 14. Where Shawn Michaels would have fit into that, I don't know. But it should have been Bret finally putting Austin over. I don't think he would have had a problem doing that. I think he liked Steve and had respect for him. I think that he could have continued on as a heel for a while, maybe even where he was against the direction. Like on TV, he was against the direction of the company and where it's going. And I think it would have gotten him a lot of heat. And I think he would have had great matches with all of the top guys during that time. He would have gotten to work with The Rock a lot more than he did. I think he only had the one TV match with him when he was still Rocky Maivia. He would have worked with Triple H. He would have had a proper program, which he never had with Mankind. Ken Shamrock. Kane. Bret Hart and Kane. I actually think Bret would have brought Kane to one of his better matches back then. Test. I could see him working with Test, right? Fellow Canadian. Kurt Angle later on. All those guys. And maybe Owen Hart would still be alive. That's the biggest reason I wish he would have stayed. James from Staten Island. I would like to ask you a two-part question about Finn Balor. At one time, he was one of the most popular guys that WWE had, and with somebody that people actually look forward to seeing, or he was someone that people look forward to seeing. Sadly, those days are over, and now he seems to be nothing more than a glorified job guy. Used to put other people over, and it's never really about him. In his own group, it looks like his leadership role is about to implode. While he is, in my book, not in a good position, I do believe that he can be restored to his former glory and be one of the several main event caliber stars that people pay to see. My first question to you is Finn Balor damaged goods, or is there hope? If you believe there is hope, my second question is more of a challenge, as you have a very creative mind. What would you do to restore Finn Balor at the main event level? Do we see the return of the Demon? Well, keep this in mind. The Miz won a second world championship in 2021. So is it possible that Finn Balor will hold world championship gold again one day? Yes, it's possible. If The Miz could do it, then Finn Balor could do the same. But I'm not going to answer your second question because I do not believe that there is hope of him being restored to a level where he is a consistent main event player for this company. I think that time has come and gone. Now, as far as the return of the Demon, yes, we will see the Demon again at some point. I don't care for the Demon. The Demon is dead to me. It's just, again, it died against Roman, and then he lost to Edge at WrestleMania. So the Demon is dead. Of course, people will go nuts for it because they love the paint, and they'll sell merch, and that's all well and good. So yes, we'll see the Demon. But Finn Balor being restored to his former glory, which, I assume when you say that, you're talking about his time in NXT. No, No, I don't. And that was a long time ago. You gotta keep in mind how long he's been there for. And I just think that he is now, I don't want to say that he's, like fucking Irish Ziggler, but I mean, he's kind of in that spot now where they know that they can use him, plug him into whatever role they have a need for, whether it's as a heel or a babyface. And he's very good. They could always rely on him. He's a great guy to rely on, but I don't see them viewing him as a future world champion that they would build around on either of their brands. The difference between winning a world title and being a world champion. Can he win another world title? Yes. Not the WWE title. Could I see him winning the world heavyweight title? Sure. Is he going to be the world champion and have a real, like the run Gunther is on right now? No. No, I don't see it. I really do. I think that time has passed. I think I call him Finn Balor because that's what he is. It's hard to shed that label. I don't really see where Triple H is all of a sudden going to have this sort of eureka moment where he realizes, oh, hey, we could be doing more with this guy. So let's just reset the clock back to the way things were 9 or 10 years ago. I don't see it. I don't. And Chris from Bethlehem. On Sound Off episode 478, you were answering fan questions and one about your top 3 WWE returns to the Royal Rumble. And you mentioned Big Daddy Cool Diesel being one of those top 3. You also mentioned Matt Stryker going over the top on commentary that night about Diesel, so much so that it cost him his job. Can you explain why Matt Stryker going crazy for Diesel would cost him his job? So, as I recall, he wasn't fired so much as they let his contract expire, and it wasn't right after that. It was a couple of years later. But I don't recall him being used in that spot much anymore after that Rumble and his marking out moment. Like literally on commentary, he said, "I'm marking out, bro." And I just remember I cringed when he said it. It's like, it's nice even when you're older or you're in the business to know that you could still mark out for moments like that, because Stryker's a real fan. He grew up a wrestling fan. He's a real fan, and that's cool and all. But at the same time, you don't say that on commentary. And I knew, like, when I heard that, even then, I knew I could just picture like Vince McMahon and Michael Hayes and all of them in the back, Bruce Pritchard or whoever was there. I think Bruce was out of the company at that point, but like I could just imagine the look on their face listening to him say that on commentary. And you just kind of knew like it's probably not going to be good for him. And I think that was pretty much the end of him in that commentary role. I just don't think he was a favorite of Vince McMahon to begin with. I don't think he was a favorite of Michael Cole, who dressed him down off headset during the Survivor Series in 2010 for talking too much. And I think also that they were upset at his reaction. Remember the end of that main event that night? There was the story with John Cena. He had to join the Nexus, and he was the referee for the title match that night between Randy Orton and Wade Barrett. And if Cena would have counted, I'm trying to remember exactly what the stipulation was, but I think if Cena counted the 3 for Orton, he would be fired. I think it was something like that. Orton wins, Cena counts the 3. And the first reaction out of Matt Stryker is, Cena's free. And then Michael Cole, very somber tone, says, Cena's fired. And then you hear Stryker, like he apologized. Oh, you're right. Like he's apologizing. Now, honestly, if you go back and listen to it, like it kind of worked. I don't think it like ruined the moment necessarily, but like that's not what they wanted him to say. And I guess in their mind, it kind of ruined what was a really big moment at the end of that main event. Because, Stryker's looking at it as he's free. He's free from the Nexus, but he was also fired. And then Cole had to correct him, on the air about it. They just didn't like him. They didn't like him. They didn't like his style. He was very grating on their nerves. And they were probably looking for an opportunity to get rid of him. And I feel like that Rumble was probably the straw that really broke the camel's back. But it wasn't like he was, immediately let go. I think he was there for a couple more years. They let his contract run out, and that was it. They washed their hands of him, and that was the end of Matt Stryker. But, Stryker, I thought, was really good on commentary on Lucha Underground with Vampiro. I thought they made a good combo. I enjoyed them.